What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we've got a boatload of new stuff to talk about. With the PC version of Destiny 2 going live, people are going through the audio files and seeing things related to future content, some of which is definitely scrapped and unused from Destiny 1, and some of it is actual content we'll be seeing in DLCs and future events. So it seems we'll be getting some completely new locations like Ganymede, a moon of Jupiter, as well as Mercury, which we already know, Myriad, which is a super mysterious location, and also Phobos to actually explore this time. As well, on top of that, we'll be getting 6 Destiny 1 locations in Destiny 2 at some point. So Earth, Venus, Mars, and the Moon, on top of the Dreadnaught and the Reef. So by the end of Destiny 2, we might have like 10 to 12 actual locations and planets to explore. So like I said, we do have a ton of stuff to get through, but also not everything inside the code should be taken as fact. There are definitely many things that Bungie has confirmed is leftover code and won't be in the game, like Prison of Elders and Festival of the Lost, but the majority of what I'm going to mention in this video will be in expansions and content over the next couple of years. So all this info comes from someone called the Eukamine, who found all the data files and listened through thousands of them to pick all this info up, and I guarantee this is just the tip of the iceberg. People are going to be finding new stuff for weeks and months to come, and as much as it is a shame to find this info coming out this way, it kind of kills the hype when stuff leaks. It seems to be a thing just in this day and age. Every single game that is on PC, you always hear about new DLC, new events, through people digging through the game files on PC. So almost everything inside this post is actually accurate, because I've listened through myself and heard the same things as well as more stuff that I found, which is pretty interesting. So we'll get onto the planets and enemies for DLCs, but the first thing I wanted to mention was something pretty strange that definitely has got a lot of people talking, and this is Akora talking about a 4th energy. She says, what if there was a 4th energy? Void, solar, arc, and what? I sometimes tire of all these 3s. Now this isn't something hidden inside the game, this is something Akora does still say right now since Destiny 2's launch. I've heard it before myself, but of course now this line getting a lot of attention because it was obviously put there for a reason, and Bungie is wanting us to think of the possibility of a 4th subclass and element. Now, it's a very ambiguous statement. A 4th element is definitely something we have wanted for a very long time, a 4th subclass that does that element of damage. So it definitely doesn't confirm there will be a 4th one, but having Akora say this is quite strange. We know how Bungie likes to tease things along these lines, so I think it's Bungie kind of preparing us for the possibility of it happening, and obviously it isn't something unrealistic to expect, a 4th element, and it definitely got a lot of people thinking. So let me know what you guys think of this, and which one would you like to see in addition to Solar, Arc, and Void. There have been a lot of theories in the past about how Decay could logically be the 4th one, which would be green, similar to the Hive energy, but it's very interesting stuff nonetheless. So let's talk about these locations, enemies, factions, all this kind of stuff that might be coming in Destiny 2 at some point. So one of the new locations we'll be going to at some point in Destiny 2 is a place called the Myriad, and this is a very interesting, mysterious place. Obviously it doesn't exist right now, it's not a moon or a planet in the universe, but the characters inside the game files describe it as being on the edge of our solar system, and it's been hidden to us the whole time, but all of a sudden appears to us. Now, one of the main enemies we'll face on the Myriad is actually the Vex. They have a strong presence there, and for some reason they have a big interest in the Myriad. Now, the reason we'll go there is apparently there's a signal that leads us to there, and that is what kind of draws us to the Myriad when it first appears to us. Like I said, it doesn't seem to be a moon or a planet or an asteroid. It seems to be something else. The word Myriad, of course, means a huge amount of something, so maybe it's a bunch of crashed ships or rocks or debris. Now, I feel like it could be related to the 9, because they are super mysterious, and the whole spire in unknown space and the black hole. It seems like somewhere mysterious like this could be related to the 9. That's just my speculation. Now, the reason this is super interesting is because it isn't the first time we've seen Myriad pop up. Actually, a few weeks back at launch, someone called the Geek family on the Russian version of Destiny 2 got a ghost shell, and we know how you get the ones that detect resources on the EDZ, Io, Titan, Nessus, all the locations. Well, this ghost shell actually dropped for him, and it said detects resources on the Myriad, which is pretty crazy. Obviously, the text was in Russian, but it translates to the Myriad, and then quickly, the text was changed to Nessus. So it's definitely not a coincidence that this one also shows Myriad, a place we can now see inside the game files, so we'll definitely be going there as a location in the future. So the next location, which is a new place we're going, is a moon called Ganymede, which, if you don't know, is a moon of Jupiter. So this is another Jovian, which of course are very interesting in themselves, because these are places known to the 9, the Ahamkara. If you go to Io right now inside Destiny 2, which of course is a moon of Jupiter, you can see another moon kind of floating very quickly, and this could be Ganymede. It could very well be the location we'll go in the future. Now, it's interesting that we're going to all these moons of Jupiter, but still not Europa, which is really weird. Who knows, maybe they repurposed the icy parts of Europa into Ganymede, because we know they did make some content for Europa that was cut, that was supposed to be in the Taken King expansion for Destiny 1. So there are areas made on Europa, but we're still yet to see it. So who knows, maybe they've repurposed it into Ganymede, or we'll still go there sometime in the future. So the next one is of course Mercury, which we know is a location of the first DLC, the Curse of Osiris. And this is really interesting because there's a set of lines from Saladin who seems to really hate Osiris and not trust him. And there's one saying, so the rumors are true, Osiris has returned. But for the most part, Saladin is saying how he's dangerous and shouldn't be trusted, and also we're much better off with Akora. So clearly Saladin does not like Osiris, which is an interesting interaction we've never seen before. There's plenty of lines from NPCs asking us what Mercury is like, and now they've come back from there. Cade also mentions going out to Shiro's way and shooting Vex, so maybe Shiro 4 from the Iron Temple is going to be the new NPC of Mercury, and maybe he is the one posted there, because Cade does mention him being there with a bunch of Vex. There's also a bunch of really interesting lines from Saladin talking about Rasputin, saying how he shouldn't be trusted and how he wants to go to war with him. Saladin doesn't seem to trust many people, but it definitely seems like we'll be interacting with Rasputin again, most likely in the second expansion. So the next location is Phobos, which you might remember from the Taken King. We had one mission there. Wasn't a very massive amount of content, but we couldn't explore it properly. Just one mission where we kind of saw the skyburners of the Cabal being attacked by the Taken. Now, Phobos is actually a moon of Mars, a very weird shaped one that's very close to the orbit because it's been pulled out of orbit by the Scion Flares, who were, of course, a strike boss in Destiny 1. And these flares are so powerful, they can move planets and moons with their minds. They can literally pull around Phobos, and they use it as a giant wrecking ball to smash into planets if they want to destroy it. So that is why Phobos is so close to Mars, and it's a location where the skyburners of the Cabal set up base. And apparently they're still there. There's lines of the New Monarchy Executor asking what the Cabal are up to on Phobos. There's also apparently a big target on Phobos we have to take out. And he also jokes about how we know the way back to Phobos, which of course is referring to how we've been there before for that one mission inside the Taken King. Now, speaking of the Taken King, the Dreadnaught is also somewhere we're going back to in Destiny 2. All the factions are telling us to be careful going back to it, going back to Oryx's floating tomb ship. The Dreadnaught still maintains operational and must be contained, so this isn't really surprising at all. As I said before countless times, Oryx's body is on Saturn, the Hive are on Titan summoning Savathun, and the Dreadnaught is in the middle, so there's way too much Hive activity happening around Saturn. So us returning is something I would definitely expect, and now these voice lines confirm it. So next up, let's look at the 4 main locations of Destiny 1 we're also returning to, which is pretty interesting stuff. So firstly is the Cosmodrome back on Earth. I mean, I'm not surprised again. This is the physical location of Rasputin, so it makes a ton of sense for us to go back there. Lakshmi from Future Warcult also mentions the House of Devils being there, which is really interesting. So it seems like we'll be facing the fallen House of Devils once again. There's also lots to talk about Golden Age secrets in the Cosmodrome, so I'm guessing the bulk of the stuff we'll do there will be related to Rasputin. Now, we're also going back to Mars. Lakshmi asks about the Red Legion on Mars, which is obviously a Destiny 2 thing, and she also asks if there are any signs of how the Red Legion slipped past us, so she's trying to figure out how they attacked the city in the first place, and if there are any clues, and this does fit into the lore, because we know the Red Legion didn't just attack the places we're at in Destiny 2, they attacked the entire solar system. They're on Mercury, they are everywhere, they destroyed a lot of stuff, and they seem to have also killed the Sunbreakers, so the Red Legion didn't just invade Earth and the Traveler, they pretty much tried to invade the entire system, and are dotted all around the place. And there's also about a dozen voice lines talking in a similar way of us going back to the Ishtar sink on Venus, because the Vex are there apparently and doing something else, and apparently the Red Legion is also on Venus as well. And the final one is, of course, the Hellmouth on the moon. Lakshmi is asking if we found any Red Legion there, and also any House of Dusk there, who of course the Purple Fallen House in Destiny 2. And on top of that, there's a ton of lines of saying how was the moon, what is it like, and then mentioning the House of Dusk and the Red Legion is obviously only in Destiny 2. So of course, let me know what you think of us returning to these places. I mean, it's not like we're going to new areas on these planets. It does seem like we're going to the same ones, the Hellmouth, the Ishtar Sink, and the Cosmodrome. So it's not going to be new locations. They might add new areas, who knows? I mean, obviously, there's going to be new missions and new stuff for us to do, and it's going to be with Destiny 2 graphics, but it is a bit disappointing to go back to the same places. But at the same time, you can't really expect them to just axe them and never go back to Venus or the Cosmodrome ever in Destiny's history. They're very important to the story, and like I said, Rasputin is on the Cosmodrome, so you can't really expect to never go there again, because it is a fundamental part of the Destiny universe. But at the same time, I hope it's not just completely the same place, just with some new enemies. I hope it's really transformed, updated with new areas, new locations, and I hope it's really expanded. Now, yet another Destiny 1 location is the Reef, and there's a lot of mention again in the voice lines, and most of it seems to be referencing the Prison of Elders, which is really strange. You can hear Lakshmi saying, I saw your performance in the Prison of Elders, and the Executor saying you've been fighting in the Prison Reefs again, so it's hard to tell exactly what's going on here. This might be some of the stuff to take with a grain of salt, because of course we know for a fact Bungie said Prison of Elders is not returning inside Destiny 2, so these lines may have been recorded long before they thought whether to put it in the game or not, and since then they decided to scrap it. There are 2 lines which are kind of related to Festival of the Lost, but at the same time they aren't really, because one of them is just a tower NPC saying something about a costume which isn't actually related to it, and the other one is the New Monarchy Executor saying the Festival of the Lost is upon us again. So it seems like it might have been recorded for Destiny 1, or maybe they'd recorded it in advance not knowing whether they would do the event or not. There's even stuff about Crimson Doubles, which is super interesting because that, of course, was back in Year 2. They didn't do it in Year 3 because they cut it in favor of Age of Triumph. So honestly, this stuff might be worth taking with a grain of salt because they may just be recorded just in case they want to do the event, but later decided not to, and they would have been recorded like a year or two ago. So we don't know exactly if this stuff will make it into the game, and we know for a fact Festival isn't. So with the event stuff, it's definitely hard to know. So it's a bunch of really interesting info overall. There is plenty more I'll talk about in my next few videos, and as I said, there'll be loads more info like this coming out in the next few days and weeks as people dig through these PC files. So make sure you are subscribed to this channel if you haven't already. I'll be covering a bunch more info as it comes out. If you enjoyed this video and want to help support the channel, then hitting the like button down below would be much appreciated. You can click the image on screen right now to watch another video I recently made talking about some hidden items in the database of Destiny 2. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.